They say evil hides in shadows. But sometimes it wears a smile, runs a business, feeds you stories, offers you chai. And if you're not paying attention, you might just thank it for the favor. This isn't just a story. It's a warning. A true story from the heart of India, about a man who didn't just kill. He believed he could consume intelligence by boiling the brains of his victims. And he wrote it all down in a diary. A diary unlike anything police had ever seen. Today, we're going to tell you the story of Raja Kolander and the darkest journal ever discovered. It was the summer of 2000 in Prayagraj, Uttar Pradesh. The air was heavy, the kind of heat that sticks to your skin and doesn't let go. Dhirendra Singh, a local journalist, stepped out of his house that morning with a notebook in his pocket and a voice recorder in hand. He kissed his wife on the forehead and said he'd be back before dinner. But dinner came and went, and Dhirendra never returned. There were no phone calls, no messages, no body. Just silence. Days turned to weeks, and rumors began to spread. Some said he was getting too close to a powerful man. Others whispered about strange rituals, a farmhouse, and a pig farmer who wasn't what he seemed. The man the rumors spoke of was Raja Kolander. But that wasn't his real name. He was born Ram Niranjan Kaul. He came from a marginalized tribal background, but those who knew him said he was clever. Too clever. He educated himself, practiced spiritual rituals, owned pigs, and he spoke with the kind of calm that made people uneasy. Some believed he was a healer. Others believed he was something far worse. To the world, he was quiet, soft-spoken, even friendly. But in private, he was building a world of his own. One that involved blood, bones, and something far darker than anyone imagined. Weeks after Dhirendra vanished, police received a tip. An inmate from a nearby jail had one sentence to say. Ask about Raja Kolander. He's not just a pig farmer. Acting on the tip, police raided Raja's farmhouse. They found no signs of violence at first. No body, no weapon. But tucked away in a dusty wooden chest was a leather-bound diary. And that was where the nightmare began. The diary was handwritten. Hundreds of pages, names, dates, drawings of human heads, notes about rituals, descriptions of pain. Some entries were clinical. Others were poetic. One page read, "Boiled the brain. Bitter but powerful. Intelligence enters through digestion." Another. "The tongue speaks lies. Cut it out. Silence is divine." There was a list at the end. 14 names. 14 people. 14 stories. And at the very bottom, Dhirendra Singh. When Raja was brought in for questioning, he didn't flinch. He smiled at the officers, complimented their handwriting, sipped his chai calmly. But when they showed him the diary, something changed. Not fear, not regret, pride. He leaned forward, smiled again, and said, "You finally read my work. Not bad, right?" And then, in chilling detail, he confessed. He told them how he had invited Dhirendra to his farmhouse under the pretense of giving him information. How he had slit his throat. Like cutting a chicken, he said. How he had boiled the brain and eaten it. Because he believed knowledge could be transferred through consumption. As police followed the names in the diary, the bodies started appearing. Some were buried in pig farms. Some were found in rivers. Some were never found at all. One victim was killed over an argument, another because Raja wanted to see how long it would take a man to die in silence. Some were strangers. Some were people who simply crossed paths with him. One entry read, "The body resists at first, then it gives in. That moment is godly." Another said, "Silence is not the absence of sound. It is the absence of resistance." Raja didn't kill for rage or greed. He killed for curiosity, for belief, for power. Raja wasn't legally insane, but he was deeply delusional. He believed in brain transference, a twisted interpretation of ancient tribal beliefs. He believed that by eating the brains of intelligent men, he could absorb their wisdom, their memory, their power. He saw himself as a spiritual king, a chosen one. He prayed, sang to his pigs, attended local events, acted normal. But in his head, he was building an empire of minds. Raja Kolander was eventually arrested and charged with multiple murders. The trial lasted years. Witnesses were terrified to speak. One went missing before his testimony. Another recanted everything. But the diary never recanted. It was evidence. It was confession. It was horror in ink. Raja Kolander was sentenced to life in prison. His wife, Fulan Devi, was also convicted for assisting him in some of the crimes. But even after the sentence, one thing remained unexplained. On the final page of his diary, Raja had written, "Only 14? No, there are more. The rest, I'll keep in my mind." To this day, many believe the true number of victims is over 30. And we may never know who they were. So what makes a man kill? Not for money, not for anger, but for belief? Raja Kolander didn't look like a monster. He looked like a neighbor, a friend, a family man. He smiled. He prayed. He slaughtered. And he documented it all in a diary. They say monsters live in shadows. But sometimes they live in the light. They run butcher shops, feed pigs. And while they serve you a story, they're deciding who to kill next. So remember this. Sometimes the most dangerous people are the ones who never raise their voice. And sometimes the scariest thing in the room is a man with a pen and no soul.